Imagine this. You wake up one day and your hand feels funny. Something doesn't feel right. Your hands are stiff and you notice some small abnormal growths. You decide to go to your doctor and tell them about what's happening to you. The doctor is confused. A look of worry comes across his face. He doesn't understand why your hands are slowly changing. Days turn into weeks, and over time, your hands are painful and they turn hard as they grow. And eventually you watch them turn into tree-like extensions of your body. You might think this is a horror story, but this is a real-life account of what happened to Mahmoud Taluli. This is tree man syndrome, scientifically known as epidermodysplasia verruciformis. This is a rare genetic disorder which causes uncontrollable growths resembling tree bark, leading to grotesque deformities and severe pain. The condition is caused by a defect in the immune system, making the body susceptible to human papillomavirus. Treatment options are limited, leaving sufferers to endure a life trapped in their own wooden prison. Luckily for Mahmoud, the surgeons in Jerusalem would remove thousands, and we are talking thousands upon thousands of lesions, the tree-like things, from his hand. You see, it's not just as simple as just cutting trees. All of those tree-like parts of his hands are actually skin, and removing the hand completely would most likely result in more pain in the future. Not only this, but they will keep coming back. This part of the disease is incurable. The surgeons were able to clear enough of them. Mahmoud quotes, "He can finally use his hands and live a normal life." But it's important to remember, not all of us are lucky. In the same article where Mahmoud talks about the struggle with his condition, a Bangladeshi man with a similar condition would make international headlines after pleading with doctors to completely remove his hands after treatment had failed. What if one day you wake up and brush your teeth, drink your coffee, and get dressed? You open the door to leave the house, only to find that the sunlight is harsh, painful. It's too bright, and it causes you physical discomfort to stand in it. It seems you have received the curse of a vampire, or perhaps you've developed porphyria. This is a group of rare blood disorders that affect the body's ability to produce heme, a component of hemoglobin. Symptoms include extreme sensitivity to sunlight, causing disfiguring skin lesions and severe pain. Sufferers may also experience hallucinations and neurological complications. Currently, there is no known cure for this condition. It's important to understand that the severity of the condition varies greatly. During our research, we found the case of a 10-year-old boy whose skin was so negatively affected by the condition his face was covered in scars. I mean, can you imagine not being able to walk out in the sunlight to be free to go on about your day? It really makes you wonder how each individual person can be so different and unique. Most of us want thick, luscious hair on the top of our heads. Perhaps some of us would like a beard to go with it. Growing hair is a normal and accepted part of being a person. But what if your hair didn't stop growing and it grew everywhere? This is what happened to Alice Doherty, known as the Minnesota Woolly Girl. Alice was born to average parents in March in the year 1887. She had 2 siblings who showed no signs of the condition. Alice's parents loved her, but realized quickly that although she was just a normal girl on the inside, her hairy outside traits were something that people would gladly pay to see. At the age of 2, her parents started exhibiting her in their local community to earn money. By age 5, her facial hair completely covered her face and were 5 inches long. Werewolf disease, or scientifically known as hypertrichosis, is an extremely rare condition characterized by excessive hair growth on areas of the body where hair does not normally grow. This includes the face, ears, and extremities. While the condition is not life-threatening, it can cause severe psychological distress and social isolation. There is no known cure for the disease. Personally, I don't know how to feel about Alice's parents using her in this way. While I don't doubt that times were different back in the 19th century and that she provided much-needed financial support, something about having your own child out on display like that bothers me. As people, we grow from small infants into fully grown adults, with our bones supporting us throughout the journey. But what if the body's soft tissues, like the muscles, tendons, and ligaments, turn from soft tissue into solid bone? Imagine being trapped in a body that slowly turns into a prison of immovable stone. Sadly, this is what happened to 2-year-old Timothy Pavlenko, who doctors predict by 20 will be completely bedbound and estimates that he will not make it past the age of 40. Stoneman syndrome, medically known as fibrodysplasia ossificans progressiva. It is an extremely rare and progressive disorder with no cure. As the condition progresses, sufferers experience loss of mobility and function, eventually becoming completely immobile. I cannot imagine what it would be like to go through such a difficult ordeal as a family. Unlike some of the previous conditions, where patients had some hope of living a normal life, treatment options are far more limited for Stoneman syndrome, as removing any of the bone actually promotes more growth. In a similar way to how bones heal when they break, removing bones would stimulate more ossification. Honestly, I wish Timothy and his family all the peace and fortune. Timothy is their youngest son, and I hope they can find some peace in these difficult times. For most of us, our hands are an essential part of us that help us navigate our world. But what if our hands had their own minds, acting independently of your conscious will? But what if that hand was malicious and wanted to cause you harm? What if the hand would repeatedly try to slap you, attack you, even goes as far as to punch? Well, this is what happened to Karen Bryant. Alien hand syndrome is a rare neurological disorder characterized by involuntary and uncontrollable movements of one's hand, often performing complex actions without the person's intention. The cause of the condition is not fully understood. In Karen's case, she would awake from surgery and find that her hand no longer listened. It's believed to result from damage to the brain's corpus callosum, which connects the two hemispheres. There is no known cure to the condition. And at one point in her life, things got really bad for Karen. It started off with things like her hand unbuttoning her blouse, putting out a cigarette she had just lit, but then escalated into fully assaulting her. Karen suffered this way for nearly 28 years. But luckily for Karen, she regained some control of her life thanks to medicine. Thank you for watching. Which of these conditions would you least like to have? Which one was the most interesting? Leave a comment below and subscribe for more.